So I'll never call myself a historian by any means. Most of the times that I tell a story, it's come full circle out of like 20 minutes ago. But when I think of old friend, I actually think of long lost friend, which is a name of a book that I'll be talking about. If you're from York County, you probably know about the Raymire Hollow murder, all that stuff. It was like the most recent in history witch trial that happened in York, I think in like the 20s, something like that. That's why I said I'm not a historian, because that could all be wrong. But it was something that happened, and someone got murdered over thinking that someone placed a hex on them, which is crazy to think that happened in the 1900s. But I've been hearing that story since I was a young boy. And for me, I also watched a lot of horror movies when I was young, maybe not a good thing. But I think of Evil Dead. I think of the Necronomicon, which is like very scary. That movie is horrifying, the very first one. The rest of them get really funny. But then I think of Hocus Pocus, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Big crush on Bette Midler. She's beautiful. Don't you say anything. But the books that they're talking about are these like incantation books, these witches books that like are bound in the flesh of the devil or blah, blah, blah. These crazy things that sound horrifying. So hearing about the Raymire Hollow murder, about the one piece of it, very important piece, was a book. And from what I remember, it says that someone told this one gentleman, there was a hex put on you. What you need to do to reverse that hex is to find this gentleman, Raymire, and get a lock of his hair and get his spell book, this spell book, and you need to bury those two things, and the hex will be lifted. And obviously it ended in murder, didn't end the way you wanted it to. But I had heard about this book, and it was in the same realm as the Necronomicon and the book from Hocus Pocus, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So this whole childhood thinking about this book being like this witch's book, it's so crazy. And as I got older, I decided to do a historical walking tour for scary stories in the Halloween times. And I did a little bit more research that obviously I don't remember, but I did more research, and it named that book. And that book is called Powwows, and literally the name of the title is Powwows or Long Lost Friend. And that book is still, to me, before I knew much more about it, was a book of spells, a book of witchcraft, book of this crazy stuff. And I found you could buy it on Amazon. Kind of took a little bit of that scariness away from me once I was like, oh, I can buy this for $6 on Amazon, softback, great. And I purchased the book, and I got it, and I looked into it, and there is 200 different spells, if you will. But if you look at the table of contents, it's like 3 things are about toothache. One's about keeping your gun from rusting. These are more so just like little life hacks that they would have called back in like the 1800s. So these aren't very scary things. And so like I looked at it, and my whole life I was like, oh my gosh, this scary thing, part of this scary story, that really does deal with murder. But when I actually get it, it's like, if you, I mean, literally one of the things is eye scum. It's so you don't get eye scum, or you can get the cows to come back home. And these are more so like tips and tricks instead of scary incantations and witchcraft. And one of the most interesting things, as obviously I'm going to talk about Wolfe Bar, I've been looking around at my house and seeing all the things that I've accumulated from craft beer around York County and my history for the last decade in craft beer. And I said, this belongs in the bar more than anything. These growlers that I've accumulated, these things, they all have stories and memories. And I found one pile of like books and things, and I found Long Lost Friend. And I hadn't looked at it in about 7 years or more. And I was like, I want this in the bar. I want people to see this piece of history, long time York history, and be able to read the recipes and things in there. And one of the recipes is for a beer recipe. And like I said, all these things always come full circle in Story Slam. And it wasn't until an hour ago that I'm like looking at that book, thinking about this, and I was meeting with my mentor who was really helping me bring this brewery to life. I was like, I can really name a beer whatever I want. And he was like, yeah, as long as you register it, you can do whatever you want, whenever. because a name's a name. You look at collusion, they name the craziest things. And I was like, with what I want for this bar, this PA Dutch inspired history aspect, and for all the new people that I'm going to meet, for all the people that I've known for years and I'm going to be able to meet again and convince that York City is a great place because I'm from Airville and a lot of those people don't believe in York City very much. To be able to name my first beer, Long Lost Friend, is really a full circle type of thing, and I owe it all to JJ. Yeah, so it's going to be called that. Thank you. That's it. That's the whole thing.